Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our 2022 Community College Day. My name is Katerina Oviedo, and I'm honored to serve our SACNAS community as the Student Programs Manager. I'm so excited you all could join us today. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, share your name and the institution you're attending. Today is about discovery. SACNAS Community College Day is meant for you to discover degrees and careers in STEM, as well as the tools and network of support you will need to get to where you want to go. Here at SACNAS, you're now in a national setting. Today, you're going to virtually meet fellow students and mentors from across the country. These are like-minded people who have similar obstacles and goals. I strongly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity and share your dreams, challenges, and advice during the networking sessions and in the chat at any time. This event is full of people who may currently be where you are and can relate to your experiences, or they may have been where you are in the past and can offer you advice for the future. This is an opportunity to discover what's possible, expand your support network, and grow together. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to introduce our SACNAS Associate Director of Mission Programs and Native Initiatives, Dr. Daryl Montero. Welcome, Daryl.
Thank you. Deonde ba Dr. Daryl Tapado Monto akon, kop beba akon. Sakneskia get saudido. Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Monto. I am the Associate Director for Mission Programs and Native Initiatives at SACNAS. I am a member of the Kiowa Nation of Oklahoma. My Kiowa name is Going to Run, that was given to me by my late father, Burgess Tapado. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. And again, thank you all for joining us. On behalf of SACNAS, it is my honor to share how we acknowledge our Native American and Indigenous people and show respect and appreciation for the lands that belong to the Native nations, who were the original inhabitants of this country. I am coming to you today from the lands of the Osage, Kaw, Kickapoo, and the Oceti-Sakowin, also known as Lawrence, Kansas. SACNAS is based out of California, which is the homeland to over 200 tribal nations, bands, and rancherias of Native American and Indigenous people. We would like to take this time to honor the rich culture of the Indigenous people across the country whose lands we live and work. If you do not know the lands who you reside on, we encourage you to take time to research and to learn more about the people and the culture. We are in support of the land back efforts that the tribal nations have began, advocating for and working toward having stewardship and decision-making over their native lands. As we all know, these past few years have been very challenging for ourselves, our families, communities, and as a nation. I would like for you to join me in taking a moment to center our minds, our thoughts, as we begin this event. We respect and appreciate how diverse our community is, and however you believe and feel, we hope that you find peace in this moment. Oh, thank you again for being here with us today. I really do hope that you enjoyed today's event. Thank you, Katerina.
Thank you so much, Daryl, for this beautiful introduction. Now, I would like to invite SACNAS Associate Director of Membership. Her name is Daniela Bernal. She looks a little bit different today, and she joins us to tell you why you should become a member of SACNAS. Welcome, Daniela.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Daniela Bernal, and as Katerina said, I am Associate Director of Member Services. Next slide, please. I'm super excited to be here today just to start off with a little bit of our history about SACNAS. We actually began in true scientific fashion with an observation. It was nearly 50 years ago that a handful of Chicano, Hispanic, and Native American scientists who were our founders were actually in an elevator at a scientific conference when they realized that there were no other scientists there who really looked like them. And this scene is depicted in the top left of the artwork on your screen. This is some original artwork that we commissioned for one of our conferences. So it was in this elevator that our founders kind of joked that if the elevator crashed, there would be no more scientists of color. And seriously, the fact remains today that there is a disparity between the diverse populations of this country and those who are obtaining degrees and careers in STEM. But we believe here at SACNAS that STEM must reflect our population and be inclusive to our communities in order to answer science's toughest questions and solve our planet's biggest problems. Next slide, please. So with that in mind, at SACNAS, we are closing this gap, and we do it not by conforming to what perhaps a scientist is supposed to look like, but we create a space where members can bring their whole selves to the classroom, the lab, and the workplace. Today, I'm super proud to say that as of last week, we actually reached 9,000 members. So we're 9,000 strong with chapters all over the country. And while we love to celebrate and acknowledge our origins, we are a fully inclusive organization. Everyone and anyone who is seeking to find belonging in STEM, a network of support, or find ways to support our communities through partnership or allyship, you are welcome at SACNAS. We are probably best known for our National Diversity in STEM Conference, which is coming up in October. But SACNAS has year-round opportunities for you at every stage of your education, from community college through your career in STEM. So these events and opportunities exist for you to discover, learn, celebrate, and connect with our national network of members 365 days a year. So if you aren't already, I invite you to become a member to learn more about what we do and how you can be involved. You can scan the QR code there on the screen, visit sacnas.org/membership, or send me an email at members@sacnas.org. Thank you, and again, welcome to the SACNAS community. I hope you enjoy the rest of Community College Day.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Now, I would like to play a short video with greetings from your fellow community college students. So please take a look. They specifically recorded and sent their clips to us so we can play it for the first time today.
Hi, I'm Edna Payan. I'm 23 years old. I'm from El Paso, Texas, and I go to El Paso Community College. One of the advices that I can give to brand new students that are going to start in college or that they are in college right now, it's get to know your professors, engage with them, talk to them about the necessities that you have, your needs. That would help you a lot. If you have questions, go to their office hours, email them, get a friend, make friends around your classes, get to know the college, know what's available for you in college, counselors, advisors, whatever you need to help you succeed academically. Also, get in extracurricular courses. That would help you a lot to put in practice what you learn in class and whatever you learn in those extracurricular classes in class, because you're working hand by hand. They tend to work hand by hand. If you want to have a better experience, make sure that you talk to your professors and explain them what you need, and they'll try to work with you. My best advice is study, don't give up. Times may seem hard, times may seem difficult, but everything comes easy at the long term. I know the first time it's hard, but just put a big smile on and have fun.
Good afternoon, SACNAS. My name is Carolina Colon, and I graduated with a bachelor's in aerospace engineering, and now I am here starting my PhD at Georgia Tech. And I wanted to give a quick advice. I started off in a community college, and the way that I got here as a first-gen college student was by networking as much as I can and never being afraid to take on opportunities. The reason I started here at Georgia Tech is because I went ahead and even applied for an internship that technically I wasn't even supposed to get. But I just went out there, networked with people, and broadened my horizons. And now here I am today. So keep going at it.
Hello, Zionist community. I'm from Jersey City, Grand Rapids Community College. My name is Charon Nguyen. To have a successful academic journey, for me, I really try to stay organized, to have a very flexible hours. I find that being organized and being on top of my schoolwork is a way to have good grades and just focus in my schoolwork. So yeah, stay flexible and stay organized as much as you can. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Robert and I am a non-traditional undergraduate. I began community college at 27 years old after I hadn't been to school for 10 years. Both my high school and those 10 years were difficult. I felt lost when entering as a first-generation college student, but found guidance through the faculty. I urge scholars such as yourself to work hard while becoming familiar with your professors. The advantages of proximity and connections are the most vitalizing elements of the community college experience. By collaborating with professors, you gain references for world travel, valuable jobs, and research at your next university. My first lab position at community college led to scientific publication. I started by simply expressing curiosity while offering to complete the honors portion of a zoology class. 4 years later, this professor is a mentor and a friend who writes amazing reference letters for me and will do so when I apply for graduate school. I recommend you start by telling your professors your interests and asking how to get involved. If you need help, invite SACNAS members with lived expertise to share. I wish you success.
Wasn't it a great video? Now I just need to take it away. Okay, awesome. So I hope after today, you all will just want to join us as an official member. So now let's take a look at what we have planned for you all today. Shortly after I introduce the agenda, we will welcome SACNAS board member, Dr. Ana Vergara, and you will hear her amazing story. And I strongly encourage you all to ask any questions you might have. Feel free to post them in the chat, and then I will read them out to her. After Anna's presentation, we have a panel discussion, community college resources deep dive. We have 4 professionals joining us today from different institutions across the country, and they will be sharing what resources are out there for you as a community college. So again, ask them questions. Shortly after that, we will have a short speed networking event, and the goal for that event for you all to get in small groups, meet each other, introduce yourself, share your experiences, because so many of you, when signing up to this event today, said you want to meet other fellow community college students and learn about other students' experiences. Next, we will have a short break, and then we will go into our last event for today, community college success stories. We will have 3 individuals. You will learn more about their journeys. They have incredible stories to share with you all today. And so hopefully they can inspire you in continue pursuing your education. And so again, encourage you ask them questions, and then please stay until the end. The event is short. We will close it with the raffle prizes. We have 5 prizes to give to people who will be present at the last event. So now I would like to introduce the SACNAS board member, Dr. Ana Vergara. Dr. Vergara is a senior scientist in the ADME and Discovery Toxicology department at Merck, where she supports the pipeline by performing drug metabolism enzyme-related studies. Dr. Vergara earned her bachelor's degree in biology with a minor in chemistry and her PhD in pharmaceutical sciences from Washington State University. Dr. Vergara has received numerous awards for her scientific achievements and service. Her interests are exploring new places, listening to music, podcasts, and staying active. Welcome, Anna. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and I'm excited to be here. I'll be sharing a little bit of my story. So let me share my screen, and then just give me a thumbs up if you can see my PowerPoint. Okay, I see thumbs up. Great. Okay. So hi everyone. Again, my name is Ana Vergara, and I'm a senior scientist in the ADME and Discovery Toxicology Department at Merck, and there for a little bit over 2 years. And I'm very passionate about advancing human health and empowering underrepresented students to become successful professionals. A little bit about me. Let me minimize that. Okay, perfect. It's a picture of my siblings. I'm the oldest of 6. So me here in the middle, and then I have 1 sister and 4 brothers. And the youngest brother is the one to the left, and we're 15 years apart. So I was 15 when he was born. I was 8 years old when I came to the US, and I went to Washington State, and I was there until 2020. I moved to the East Coast, and I'm a student from a low-income family. So growing up, I would get free lunch at school. I would get free health insurance just because my parents didn't make that much money, and we would qualify for those programs. And for my journey, I would say when you struggle and you face obstacles, you really appreciate once you reach a goal. And I would say it's very rewarding to be here to do. It's not moving. I think it froze. Let me. Okay, there we go. So more about me and my family. So my first, my 2 other siblings were born in Mexico, and we moved to the US in 1996. That's when I turned January 15th, and my birthday is January 17th. So it was a shock to see snow for the first time, but it was also like a very magical experience as a child, going outside and playing with the snow with my siblings. And here is a picture of us, my family in Mexico. So I would say I'm a very family-oriented person. I love to hang out with my family, and we love to party. I definitely miss my family now that I'm at the East Coast, because I haven't gone since we moved in 2020. So I'm hoping to go sometime this year, if not next year. And how I got interested in science. So I really enjoyed and excelled in math in high school. I would say that wasn't the case in elementary. I remember in 5th grade, it took me a bit to learn my multiplication and division. I was progressing and getting better at math. And I really liked it in high school. In my sophomore year of high school, I was doing math team, and one of my coaches told me, why don't you take 2 math classes your junior year, so that way you can get to calculus your senior year, since I wasn't in the advanced math classes. And I did that my junior year, and I got both A's in my classes, and I ended up getting award for math that year. It was myself and then another friend that we decided to take the 2 math classes, and we both excelled in it and got that award. I had a great chemistry teacher in high school. He was really fun. He would bring his guitar and he would sing songs about chemistry. I thought it was very neat. And initially I was very figure out how to skin, for learning about products, chemicals, and how to improve my skin. And I was able to do it through some research. and improved little by little until eventually, you know, I was happy with the results. And I first wanted to be a dietitian. I was also very interested in nutrition, how to stay healthy. Then a dermatologist, again, because of the skin. And then finally, I would say towards the end of high school, my senior year, I was pretty sure that I wanted to be a scientist, but the other things were also options. I was like, okay, I'll go one route, and if I like it, I'll continue, and if I don't, you know, I could always shift gears. So my educational journey. So my called Columbia Basin College in Pasco, Washington. That's why you have here 2005 to 2008, because 2005 to 2006 was my senior year. And then I stayed 2 more years to be able to do my prereqs. So after my second year, I was able to get my AA, and then my third year, I decided to stay and do my prereqs. And it was a little bit closer to home. I was commuting, and it cost less than going to a 4-year college. And after that, I transferred to Washington State. It's a branch campus in Richland, Washington. And I got my Bachelor of Science in Biology with a minor in Chemistry. I took a break from 2010 to 2014. And then I knew
Anna, we can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but
You can see
no
me?
slides. Yeah.
Those slides. Okay, I think something reconnected. So let me try again. Okay.
Okay.
Were you able to see it, and then it just kind of stopped working?
Yeah, it just dropped.
Okay. Okay. I noticed that. Okay. Perfect. I think I was here. So like I was saying, I took a break, and then I was able to start the program for my PhD in pharmaceutical science. I don't have it here, but in fall 2013, I started my PhD in chemistry. But just because of circumstances, I decided to move to the pharmaceutical sciences. Just kind of like the short story was, I was commuting 1 hour and 45 minutes to Pullman, Washington, from Spokane. Every day, that was one way, so it was like 3.5 hours every day, and I knew that I couldn't do that in the long term, but that was kind of my way to be able to start the PhD program, because I had applied for my master's in chemistry in Richland, and then I found out that we were moving to Spokane, so I connected with them. I'm like, can I join the PhD program? They said no at first. Then I was like, who can I talk to? I talked to the professor, and then finally he responded. We went via email for one day. He said, Anna, you wore me down, happy face. I'm looking forward to meeting you in the fall. I did that for a semester, and then mid-semester I was like, okay, this is taking much of my time. I had to leave home around 5 a.m. I would get home around 8 or 9, and having a family, it was very challenging. But then I learned that the College of Pharmacy was consulting closer to where I was in Spokane, and I was able to transfer to the pharmaceutical sciences PhD program. And there I went to a lot of conferences. So I went to Vancouver, BC in Canada, Davis in California, Chicago, Florida, Texas, Oregon, and Hawaii for conferences. That was for months. It was a lot of fun. Here are some pictures of me in graduate school. So to the left, it was when we went to this conference called the and here you can see my different lab mates. We all got awards. We got travel scholarships to go to the conference, and we decided to take a picture, and it was a lot of fun. To the top right, this was my first conference in, I believe it was the ASE, and it was a scholarship to be able to go there for my trip. And then to the bottom right, here's again pictures of this is in Spokane, and the College of Pharmacy, and these are some of my lab mates. And I was mentoring the girl with the skirt. She was a SURF student, so that's a summer undergraduate research fellowship fellow student. And I gave her a project to work on over the summer. And at the end, they present a poster, and they can get an award as well. And this was during research presentation day, and we could also present her research as well, so that way our department could know what we're up to. I also founded the Association for Women in Science affiliate group at my institution, so that's a national organization. And another graduate student told me about it, and I thought it was very nice. They have nice webinars, and I found out that we could start an affiliate group, and here we got invited. It was like the Women's Leadership Award for one of our faculty. She was would help out with the organization. So she invited us, and we had a lot. And here to try to do that over the summer, just to kind of figure out what we're going to do for the next year, and just also to kind of have some team building exercises. And like I said, I attended a lot of conferences, so I'm a very visual person, so I like to share pictures. So my first conference for SACNAS was in October of 2017. That was in Salt Lake State, a travel scholarship to be able to attend that. And I gave an oral presentation. And then in 2018, I attended the experimental biology conference. That's like my scientific conference that we would go to. And somebody there was a career counselor, and they connected me with the summer president, Lino Gonzalez. And I talked to him. He told me that I could nominate myself for the board as a graduate student. And I talked to other people that have done that as well. And I decided to apply, and I got selected, and then the membership has to vote for you. So they vote your commitment. But 2 board members left last year, so they asked me if I could stay an additional year. So this is last year, and it's my 4th year serving. So I'm very happy to do that. And when I was running, it was here in 2018. It was in San Antonio, Texas. And that's when I ran for the board of directors, and I gave another oral presentation. So I would say SACNAS is a great place to get involved, share your research, whether it's an oral presentation, a poster presentation. In 2019, right here, in 2019, that was Hawaii, I gave a poster presentation, and that was my first year serving as a board member. And I took some of my former, right here, the 2 girls, they're my lab, and then the ones in the back are colleagues. They're also graduate students, but in different labs. And in prior to that, I went again to the experimental biology conference. You'll see kind of the theme. It's EB or SACNAS, and that was in Orlando, Florida. And that's where I met a Merck scientist in my poster presentation. That was a very pivotal moment because he reached out to me at the fall of and that's how I got hired. And of course, I always try to do fun things when I go to conferences. So here we in Florida, we went to the space shuttle with my friends. There was other friends. Oh, hold on. Somebody turn it off. So I went there after the conference. It's a lot of fun. So I've kind of, shown my journey, my successes. But I mentioned, I was the first one to go to college, but I didn't mention that I got pregnant at the age of 19. I had my first daughter. So that was my 2nd year of college, right? I had finished high school, and I found out around that year that I was pregnant, and that it was unexpected. Of course, it wasn't planned. But of course, things came for a reason, and very happy that I have her. You can see here some pictures of my family documented. So I was undocumented, and then I became a dreamer. I think that was 2012, 2013. So before that, I was going to college, being undocumented. I applied for scholarships. I was able to get some, but of course, I couldn't apply to all of them because some required a permanent resident or U.S. citizen. And then when I finished a job where I could use my skill set, I actually went with my mom to a bodega, to try to get a job, and they wouldn't hire me because, I wasn't qualified. I didn't have the experience there. So it was very kind of frustrating times. But it also, I think it humbles you and it centers you. And I always had faith that things would improve and I would be able, fulfill my goals. And my ultimate goal was to get my PhD. So that was always if I could do it. And, there's that unknown. And then in 2015, things changed with the Obama administration. I could apply. I had married my husband at the age of 19, but because I was in the US, undocumented, and I think after you turn 18 and you stay for so long, you get a penalty. So first it's a 2 or 3 year penalty. After that, it's a 10-year penalty. And you have to apply for a waiver to be able to become a permanent resident. And before that, you had to leave the country and get that waiver. And I didn't want to do that because I knew of people that wouldn't get it or they would stay there for a year, and I didn't want to do that. And since I was going to school and I was graduate, that was kind of the hard part. Where what am I going to do with my life? So I had after my bachelor's, I had my second daughter. I was like, oh, I'm not really doing much. I want to expand my family. So I had her. And then I was able to get a job at a grocery store. I was a store clerk, just a cashier. And that for what you went to school for. And I was like, oh, it's because I'm a small town. I don't want to travel far, etc. I would make excuses. And once I started graduate school, my second daughter, she was in diapers. So she might have been 2 or so. So that was difficult because in graduate school, it's not like you're just a student. You're a student and a worker. So you have to be there for 40 plus hours. And I had to find babysitting. And when she would get sick, it was just very challenging. But of course, overcame that obstacle and made it work. And then in 2020, I moved to New Jersey. That's when I got hired at Merck. And when I was there for a month, they told me that my department was going to move to Pennsylvania because there's 2 sites in New Jersey for Merck and they're closing one. And since they're closing one, those scientists need to go to the site where I was, and they needed our space, and they decided to transfer us to Pennsylvania. So I had the difficult decision to figure out if I was going to move to Pennsylvania, if I was going to try to get a different job at Merck or get a job somewhere else. And I decided to move to Pennsylvania. And we did that last year in 2021, last year. So here a little bit of what I do now. So this is the Rahway site in New Jersey. That's where I got hired first. And of course, it was during the pandemic. So they invited me for a lunch and we were outside, and then we decided to take a picture with our masks. And of course, we could take it off, to eat. It was very interesting because everything was very different. It felt like a ghost town when I went back to Merck. When I interviewed, it was in January of 2020, and we were hearing about COVID, but it wasn't a pandemic and things were normal. So it felt very different coming back. And this is a picture at like the entrance at Merck. And now I'm in Pennsylvania. So I've been at Merck for a little bit over 2 years, and I've been in 3 different groups. And I was in the transporters and in vitro technologies group, and that was the one where I was in New Jersey. Then I moved to Pennsylvania, and I was in a different group. I was there for a bit, but my manager was my scientific supervisor before that, so it wasn't much of a transition. And I would say I really like him as a manager. And I support the pipeline by performing drug metabolism and enzyme-related studies. So I work with phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes, and I look to see if there's like drug-drug interactions. So what does that mean? I look to see if a Merck drug either hits an enzyme, and that can affect some toxicity if people are taking multiple drugs, or also I look to see if there's induction. So induction means that a Merck drug might induce the enzyme. That means the protein goes higher, and that can also cause some issues. So that's kind of what I do. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to share, but I know that can be a little bit difficult to understand if you haven't gone to that route. And people ask me, "Oh, your typical way to do an experiment? This is kind of how it looks." So I have a lot of reagents. I have my eyes because a lot of the reagents can't be in room temperature. If not, they might, start degrading. I have my computer here, either to look at the protocol, or if not, I might print in reaction. And the way that I analyze it, it's called liquid chromatography mass spectrometry, and that's looking at different metabolites, and we do that through mass transition. So we have this like fancy instrument, and we have a column, and our samples going through the column, and it does all this fun stuff. And at the end, I integrate peaks, and those peaks tell me if what's the metabolite. Is it higher? Is it lower? And that can tell me whether there's inhibition or if there's induction. That's a type of experiment, but I won't go that into detail today. I know it's hard sometimes to know what you want to do, and I'll say I was very fortunate to know in high school that I wanted to scientists. I actually found an essay that I wrote my senior year of high school where I was like, my goal is to get my PhD. At that time, it was biochemistry. I really like biology and chemistry. And pharmaceutical sciences, you can do kind of everything in there. Like it's just like a term. You can do pharmacology, immunology, biology, chemistry. And for my PhD, I was able to incorporate biology and chemistry, which I really like. So find something that you love, preferably, something that interests you. Find something where you're passionate, so something that you get paid for and something that the world needs. And I think, that's where you find your purpose. And I always tell people things are not stagnant. So if you don't like it, feel free to change. You don't have to go a certain direction if you're not liking it. So I always say explore, and if you don't like it, move on to the next thing, and talk to people. I would say I talk to a lot of people to figure out really how to be resourceful, look at the internet, people, and just kind of follow my gut feeling. Does this feel right? And if it did, I will proceed, and if not, I would change gears. And again, like when I started my PhD in chemistry, my gut was feeling me, this is not gonna work out. So I changed gears. I was still able to be successful, but changing. I want to leave everybody just saying that, just a quote that I found: we don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. So for me, since I've had a lot of obstacles, I always try to be very positive, have hope, and work on myself. I think that has helped me tremendously, for my job at Merck. And I would say questions, and I will stop sharing. And perfect timing. I finished in 20 minutes.
You did. Thank you, Anna, so much for sharing your story and just being vulnerable this morning and sharing all the obstacles you have encountered in life. Even though your slides were a little bit delayed, but it was so great to see all those pictures and just catching up to what you were saying in your story. Thank you for the advices to our students by the end of your presentation. I guess I will wait for some of the questions from the audience. Again, please ask Anna while you have her. But I have one question. When you were at the age of students in the audience, what were your aspirations? And what are your aspirations now?
So when I was in community college, is that what you're saying? When I was
yes.
Community college. Yeah, so say for me, I did, my running start, so I was able to take a lot of my general classes, but I started math right away because I knew math was very important, and I knew I wanted to be a scientist, so I wanted to follow. I was thinking about a biochemistry degree, so I looked at, okay, what are the requirements, what do I need, and just kind of start planning out my layout of the classes, because I think that's very important. If you don't have a good counselor, or if you don't know how things work, you can waste a lot of time taking classes that won't really transfer or won't really you for your degree. So that's something that I recommend for students to look into. I was fortunate that he was my, I don't know if he was my boyfriend or husband at that time. He was in Trio, and I became friends with them. So they would help me with my classes, and they would plan out my schedule for me. And that really helped me stay focused. And even though that was the case, it took me 5 years, including my year. It was because I wanted to get that biochemistry degree. So I would take, my required classes for, let's say, math. I would take all of them. You know, I took the whole calculus. It was like 4 quarters of calculus. So I always wanted to do it because I was like, oh, I don't know if I would do this. I was thinking maybe medical school, pharmacy school, PhD. But I'm very happy that I did, and I think I learned a lot during that time. Oh, and then now, what do I want to do, right? So as a scientist, I would say I really love the science. My goal is one day to be an executive. So I want to be a VP, I want to be a president, I want to be a CEO. That's kind of like my ultimate goal. And I love the science, but I love the business aspect. So I'm considering getting my MBA and doing that probably the fall next year. That's a goal. That's kind of my aspiration that I have right now.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring. For our audience, if you are not a currently SACNAS member, I don't see the reason why you should not be. Look, you met some of my colleagues this morning, the staff who work at SACNAS. Now you met our board member, Dr. Anna Vergara, who is at the governance at SACNAS. This is such a great organization to be a part of. So again, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today. I know your busy schedules. And let's move on. What else we have planned for you next? So
thank you, everyone. And I would say, I just want to say just briefly, I wasn't part of SACNAS before graduate school. I didn't know about SACNAS, and I wish I would have. There's a lot of resources, so I would say, sign up. I don't know if you're going to talk about, there's a free membership, and then you can kind of like move up. But there's a lot of resources, and also as a community college student, you can get internships. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link on the message. So if you're interested in internships, I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. So I'll also put that link as well. So bye everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Anna. So let's see what we have next for you. Now let's transition into our first panel that we have prepared for you. Many of you have expressed interest in learning more about research, career, and internship opportunities. We have 4 professionals who are eager to share with you what resources are available out there for you. I encourage you all not to hesitate and ask questions. Please submit your questions in the chat, because I just was made aware that there was one question in Q&A that came up and I missed it, so I apologize. Please submit them in the chat and I will read them out to our speakers after their talks. There are no wrong or silly questions. Our speakers are joining us today because they want to help you to plan out your future. So our speakers, you can turn on your cameras while I'm introducing you. We have Megan Pepper Estes. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Megan is a USTAR undergraduate research training program coordinator at the University of Rhode Island. We have Eric Curiel, career engagement specialist at University of California, Santa Cruz. We have Dr. Brian Dewsbury, Associate Professor of Biological Sciences at Florida International University. And we have Cincy Situ, STEM Diversity Research Programs Assistant Director at University of California, Santa Cruz. So please welcome them, help me to welcome them. I will stop sharing screen so you can see their faces. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. And please, feel free to introduce yourself. I will start with Megan.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from Rhode Island. So as introduced, my name is Megan, and I am the program coordinator for a program called MARC USTAR, which is an NIH-funded training and professional development program for underrepresented students in the biomedical sciences that are interested in pursuing graduate studies after their completion of their bachelor's degrees. And so some of you have heard of maybe URISE, which is the sister program to Mark U-Star. And then there's a lot of other types of programs out there called McNair, REU, SURF programs that we can talk about. A lot of acronyms get thrown around and it can be a kind of confusing about the eligibility and requirements and where these programs are offered. But that's why we're here today, to A, let you know about these programs, and then B, also kind of help you navigate how do you find them, apply for them. And my biggest takeaway today is that if you are interested in undergraduate research, you can do it, you should be doing it, it should be paid. And there are a lot of opportunities for you that can help connect you to graduate programs and provide you with not only the laboratory skills and professional development activities that you need to get into graduate school, but the mentoring that goes into that process, as well as the sense of community and belonging that you can find through these organizations. So thank you for SACNAS to hosting this event and to my colleagues on the panel today.
Thank you, Megan. Next, please, Eric.
Hello, welcome everybody. Good morning from Santa Cruz. So my name is Eric Uriel, he, him pronouns. I'm a career engagement specialist for our career success team, essentially like the Career Center, as I'm sure you'll be familiar with on other campuses. We work on focusing and working with students to really identify like the skills that you've developed during your time at college or university, and thinking about how you can continue to develop those skills and identify new experiences where you can continue to develop your skills when you're thinking about like, what are you going to do after you graduate, right? Whether it's graduate school, whether it's going into the job force, we're here to definitely support students, and again, just helping you identify like all of the great things that you're doing during your time at college and university, and trying to think about how you can strategically present those like on your resumes and your application material, so that again, you can highlight all the amazing stuff that you've done. Happy to talk about more of like how to take advantage of those opportunities in whatever college or university you end up transferring to. But yeah, just happy to be here.
Thank you, Eric. Dr. Musbury.
Good afternoon. Greetings from Miami, Florida. I am currently at Florida International University. Up to a year ago, I was, unfortunately for Megan, her colleague at URI, and then she fired me, so I had to move and go to I was at URI for the first 7 years of my faculty career. So I'm happy to be here, and I guess I'll let you know that I've been thinking about this question from several angles over the course of my time in higher ed. I am a research professor. I have a research lab. So I have students who volunteer, who work with me on several projects at the undergraduate level and the grad level. I was a former PI of the MARC program that Megan just spoke about. So I've received funding to fund students in a kind of a programmatic capacity. One of my favorite classes to teach, however, is also Intro Bio, which is typically the first biology class students take when they get to university. And it's my favorite class because it's my opportunity to welcome them into the scientific community in a very particular way. And I say it that way because I don't see the class as a place where I just go and talk about what's in the textbook. I see the class as a place where I go and talk about what it means to do science, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that even in the class, one of the assignments the students do is apply for a summer research internship. Because many students actually didn't know that these things, most of them are paid, and they're paid very well, and they fly you to the site and they pay for your room and board and things like that. So I don't just see undergrad research as a separate thing to the rest of education. I see undergrad research as the way science is actually practiced. And the more we can get undergrads doing it, whether it's in the classroom or as a paid internship, the better I think we are as a community. So I'll stop there, but happy to take any questions on anything I just said, and thanks to the panel for being here.
Thank you so much. And Cincy.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Cincy Situ, and I'm the Assistant Director for the STEM Diversity Programs here at UC Santa Cruz. So at the STEM Diversity Programs, we have the same programs, the NIH MARC program, and also several other, I guess, undergraduate enrichment opportunity programs, such as UC Leads, which is specifically for the UCs, and the NSF CAMP program, and also several other private donation research opportunity programs. So if you have any questions about summer research, feel free to drop down the questions. And I think SOCNUS is very close to my heart because that's actually also the first research conference that I attended as an undergraduate back in 2009. So I'm very happy that you are taking advantage of this opportunity and really seeing what is best for you in the next thing. So I look forward to answering all your questions, and I'm also happy to be here with all the panelists.
Thank you, Cincy. Our first question is, what opportunities does UC Santa Cruz offer community college STEM students to participate in? Our UC Santa Cruz representatives who would like to take that question.
I can answer that question. So for UCSC specifically, Victor, depending on where you're at, there is a research program called Access. So it's funded by NIH, and it's specifically for community college students from the Santa Cruz area who can apply and do a summer research here at UCSC, and everything's paid for. You get a salary, you get housing. So I'm sure there's other similar programs at other part of the California or the country, whereas community college students, you can seek those opportunity to just have a summer research experience at a four-year college that is close to your area. And that program is called Access. I can put the link down. And they have professional development throughout the summer, and they place you into a lab.
Great, thank you. We do have questions. How do you look for internship? How do you look for research opportunities while in community college? I would like to call out Eric, and I would like you to share your story, because I know a little bit about you, and I know you were a community college student and you participated in undergraduate research program. Can you share your story? And I'm sure it will speak a lot to our participants today, because some people, maybe they don't even know that this programs there exist. So what can they do today to even think about these opportunities?
Yeah, I can talk briefly about kind of my experience. So I was a community college student in Central California. I would say the biggest thing is networking, right? I think just connecting with folks, whether it's your peers, whether it's staff, whether it's faculty or your professors, right? Like just share with other folks like what your interests are, because you never know where you're going to find opportunities. For myself, I was part of the MESA program at my community college at College of the Sequoias. I became aware of SACNUS through that basically office of MESA, and just talking to different students when I was getting ready to transfer. I had a friend who was planning to transfer to UC Santa Cruz and was going to get into the STEM diversity programs. For many reasons, that didn't end up happening, but she was like, hey, I know you're transferring to UC Santa Cruz. Here, let me get you connected with the folks there and learn more about the program. So I honestly was not at all familiar with like the STEM diversity programs at UC Santa Cruz, but because I had those connections with other peers, and faculty who were able to like write me recommendations and stuff, that's how I was able to get opportunities to do research and have a successful time at UC Santa Cruz. So honestly, it's like just networking. I think it's super important. And I think in the beginning, it can be a little bit awkward if you're not super used to it, which is totally normal. But I think kind of just practicing, the more that you practice it, the better that you'll get at it. I think networking is super important, both in person, again, with like your friends, your colleagues, your professors, talk to like your current like professors, right, at your community college, like talk to them about what are some of your career plans. They can be super helpful, and just never stop networking. LinkedIn is also a very powerful tool that we recommend to be able to access online. I think especially these last few years where we've kind of been forced to do more things online. I think I like to share with students that LinkedIn is a great opportunity to be able to connect, especially with like alumni that maybe you can't physically be close to or be able to meet in person, but you're still able to access those resources from afar. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for networking.
Networking, networking, networking. That's what I hear. Thank you so much. Megan, I know you have community college students transferring and who are participating in Mark U-Star program at your institution. Could you share more how for our current students, how they can at their current institutions, what they should be doing now to look for similar programs to get involved in university?
Sure thing. So a lot of you, if you're transferring into the fall semester, that's a great time to start talking to some professors. If you have an academic advisor, or if there is a standalone or individual undergraduate research office, that is a great way to start. So there's a lot of different things you can do by just going onto your college or the university's website that you're transferring into to ask about undergraduate research. And if you're not yet at the point where you are looking at transferring, that is a great way too, when you're looking at the admissions process or the transfer process, to ask those departments and representatives if they have undergraduate research, to just see what's available through the university. A lot of opportunities are paid and they can live within a standalone office, within an individual college or departments, or they might have a federally funded program like Mark U-Star or URISE or the NSF programs at that university, and it's just finding where it is within the university, sometimes through the website or just by talking with the professors or admissions representatives as well. So if you're looking at entering a college, a university with a specific undergraduate program, you can go that route. Or if you're already in the process of transferring within the next year or semester to a different university, you can start asking those individuals specifically what they offer through their university.
Thank you. And could you speak more to that? You mentioned students even get paid and they get into that program.
Yes.
Could you tell us what it is?
Yes, I wish I knew this as an undergrad, because it's something I was a Pell student. I came from the SUNY system, and I was part of my community college system in New York, and then went on to a bachelor's degree in environmental studies, and I had to work. I was in federal work study, and I also found on and off campus jobs. So pursuing research in undergrad was just not something I thought you had to do or should be doing. I just thought you go to school, you work, you get your degree, and then that becomes the next step. But what I learned towards the end of my bachelor's degree, and then it's kind of shifted my whole thinking in STEM education, is that these opportunities while you're in undergraduate are really important, because it helps kind of you figure out what you want to do. So I started, for example, I started volunteering or finding summer jobs where I'd do STEM education or environmental education with little kids and middle schoolers and high schoolers. And through that process, where it was a paid opportunity or a volunteer opportunity, I learned, okay, this is or isn't what I want to be doing. So from a perspective of helping you navigate what you're passionate about, what you want to pursue, those paid opportunities can be really important for you. But then also knowing that there are paid opportunities can relieve you from having to find that second or third job while you are on campus and taking classes, because it often becomes a time in your life where you don't have time to apply for these opportunities. So, knowing that they're funded, knowing that they're available either during a summer, like a SURF program, so a summer undergraduate research fellowship program, or the REUs, which are research experiences for undergraduates. Those can take place over 10 or 12 weeks in your summer, or there can be year-long or multi-year-long funded opportunities like Mark U-Star, like a RISE, URISE program that can support you while you are in your undergraduate time.
Megan, could I just add one more thing about MARC? I'm not sure if you mentioned it or not, but the MARC program in particular actually covers a good amount of tuition. So it's not just, you will get a stipend and you can use the stipend to help pay your tuition. The program actually has a separate pot of money that contributes towards tuition. And a big goal of that is to free you to the extent that it can to really devote 100% of your non-in-class efforts to being productive in the research lab. To the extent that's always successful, we get it. Sometimes the expenses are above and beyond what MARC can provide, but it is definitely one of the more well-funded programs. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because as a community college student, what you typically do is you transfer in to a baccalaureate granting institution at the junior level, and the MARC program is for rising juniors and seniors. It's a 2-year program. So what would make you competitive for that program is having some research experience under your belt, which I understand that many community colleges, you're not going to get on campus. But to Megan's suggestion about seeking out summer internships and, if there are campuses nearby that you can connect with, that would put you at a better position coming into a 4-year institution who might have a program like that to get in. So I'm at FIU, we have a MARC program here as well. And, I think right now about a third of our MARC students are transfer students from a community college. And it's because, we were intentional about making sure that they can come to our campus in their freshman and sophomore year and do research, and they know about this program. So when they came, they were on it, right? So I just want you to kind of keep that in your mind as you think about when your transfer time comes.
This is awesome, thank you. And Eric, I see you posted a link and and maybe this is the link, but I know there is a website where you can see US map and you can see what institutions in the country have this research programs. And it's a very cool tool if you're thinking where you want to transfer at a community college. Let me ask our panel some of the questions that came through. How would a neurodivergent student network, I don't even know if I pronounced that word correctly.
I can talk about this. The Mark U-Star program supports students with disabilities as well as students coming from underrepresented backgrounds. And
Megan, just real quick to underscore what she said, one of the advisory board members of MARC is the director of the Disability Service Office.
Yes. Yeah. So we, when we tell students network, get out there, go talk to your professor, it can be very uncomfortable and difficult for neurodivergent students to know what to even ask, right? Because if undergraduate research is a new field for you, a new experience you haven't experienced yet, then you're navigating that process along with maybe struggling to communicate or ask or share your needs or, divulge information about yourself to these faculty and professors about what you're looking for. So it can be a very difficult process. But I think, if you're comfortable with doing some of your own individual research on the institution or connecting through LinkedIn, sending emails through the program or directly to a professor can help, and explaining what you're looking for and that you just don't know where to start, but also navigating that process can be a lot. So we have at URI an Office of Disability Access and Inclusion. And as Brian mentioned, the director of that office is on our board. So we work with Dr. Paige Ramsdell to identify students that not only qualify through the Mark U-Star requirements, but also what are other ways that we can reach students that are working with DAI as a transfer, as a new student at our university. So there might be neurodivergent coffee hours or just an advisor or counselor through a DAI or a Disability Student Services office that you might be able to go to. And that's someone you've worked with before with your, accommodations, documentation, or other needs or services that you can ask them, how do I navigate this process? I think what's really important is that sometimes you send an email and someone's going to be really quick, or they're not going to reply, and you're going to be questioning, did I do this right? Did I say the wrong thing? That does happen. Sometimes people are just busy and it's not personal. They're not meaning to ignore you or put off talking to you. But I would encourage you to follow up again and just, restating your interest in types of programs or finding out if there are programs. It can be uncomfortable to ask again and to advocate for yourself in that way, but I do encourage you to try again. Sometimes an email is just in our inbox that we miss, and it's not malintention for someone to ignore you or to for you to follow up is going to show your interest in that area. And then I always work with our students when they're comfortable to talk about their needs, right? And accommodations and how they communicate. It's really an important part of our MARC program. We developed mentor-mentee compacts, and through that we have our trainees really, start to talk about parts of themselves and their identities and background that's important to them to bring into the research setting, into research communities when they're ready to talk about that. And so, sometimes finding that space in that community has been very helpful for our MARC students. And they've gone on to create student clubs and organizations that support students with disabilities in the STEM community.
Thank you, Megan, for that info. Our next question is, what is the most important thing to do as a freshman entering community college? What advices would you give?
I would say get connected and learn about all of the different student resources available. Many colleges and universities have like services for transfer students to like help you get acclimated to that particular campus's kind of just community and structure. Learn about, as I mentioned, like I'm part of our career center. I know for myself as a student, especially as a transfer student, I didn't really utilize our resource, but I didn't learn about it until it was like too late for me. But I do have really great conversations with transfer students who are able to take advantage of some of the resources that we provide, but just get familiar with your university or your college that you're transferring to, learn about what are the different resource centers, learn about the different student clubs on campus. I think just do something that you find passion in, right? Whether it's like a SACNAS organization or a SACNAS chapter or any other student organization, right? It doesn't always have to be like STEM related. Just find something that you're passionate about so that you find a community in that space where you feel comfortable. And in the long term, I think that's going to really have a lot of really good benefits for you. And just also have some patience, because I know for us, particularly at UC Santa Cruz, we're a quarter-based university, and I know the transition from a semester to quarter can be very challenging. So also kind of allow yourself some grace and like a grace period to be able to adjust, and don't be super down on yourself if maybe you don't do as good as you were expecting, like that first semester or quarter after you transfer. So just kind of have that space.
Thank you, Eric. But I will echo what Eric said. I think it's very important while you're in a community college, there are so many clubs and groups, societies. Look for them, try to see and join what interests you. And if you are, I'm just speaking from my personal experience as a community college student, I didn't know that I will be transferring. It was a big dream. I didn't know what degree I will be pursuing. Didn't know how to navigate American institution at all. But as a first year, just entering community college, it's a great opportunity to take all the classes. You're just not in a specific major. Pick what you like, what interests you. Join those clubs. You're going to meet so many people through those clubs. Those people that already maybe I know personally, my friend inspired me to pursue the major I was pursuing. She's like, I like to study this. I know I'm transferring to this university and I want to do this major. And we were classmates in the same class, and I really liked that class. And I didn't know anything what I wanted to do. And I think I will do the same what she's doing because it's very interesting. So you never know, like different path people experience, but yes, join all the clubs at your school, and it will be a guide for you, for some of you. Our next question is, do you guys believe?
Katerina?
Yes.
Sorry, I raised my hand. Maybe you didn't see.
Oh,
it.
sorry, I didn't see.
It's all good. But I just want to comment real quick on that question about what to do in your first year of your first semester of college. And I agree with everything that's been said, but I want to remove some of the responsibility from the students a little bit and make the comment that we as faculty, we who design the classrooms and we who design the programs, we need to do a better job, a much better job of making very clear to students like yourself of what options are available to you in this beautiful scientific world. I think sometimes we design these very archaic, inefficient, confusing systems and then leave it to students to just self-navigate. And then if they don't do it well, then it's their fault for falling out of the pathway. And as one of the things that I spend a lot of my time doing is faculty development, where we work with faculty on how do you design classrooms and programs that make those things that we are saying today a lot more obvious to you. So, we can't just teach bio from a textbook and expect students to fall in love with research. Like it makes no sense. Like you have to embed the practice of science in the education process as a central thing, not just as oh, well, if you get time, go do that, right? So, thanks for the question, but I think it's important to say that because we have a role to play here too.
Thank you for that note. Somebody said facts. Do you guys believe building experience with clubs and internships build confidence to apply for a career?
I think most definitely, because we run summer programs and they're 8 weeks, and then we see how the students transform from first day when they start, and they're just so not familiar with the terminology in the sciences and the way they communicate versus the last day when they have to present about their research, how much they have transformed in 8 weeks. And then also, I also highly encourage students to step outside of their comfort zone and apply something maybe not around their home, maybe apply out of state, out of country, because it really helps you understand who you are as a person and what would you like and what would you not like. And you just learn so much about yourself and what you like in terms of research. Because I did summer research experience in Germany, and that really opened my eye about how different scientists work, not just in the US, but also with in other countries as well. And also, I was able to travel a lot, and in that process, I learned a lot about myself, and I become a lot more independent throughout that process. So I highly encourage students to apply for summer internship that are not at your home institution.
Yeah, I would just briefly add that I think I specifically work with students on career development, right? And we always like to share that a lot of the skills that you learn that you're going to use in your career aren't just skills that you can learn in a job, right? But it's always helping students reflect on what skills have you developed in the classroom, right? In particular projects that you worked on in class. What are things that you've developed being in a student club, right? Like teamwork, being able to collaborate with other folks, critical thinking skills, right? I'll put a link after this on some of the career readiness skills that we typically work on helping students identify and being able to like highlight whether it's, again, in a job application or preparing their documents for like graduate school, or in an application for like a undergraduate research experience as well. So you can utilize a lot of different experiences that you've had. They don't all have to be like a specifically paid position, or even STEM related, where you can utilize some of those transferable skills in any field or career that you want to pursue.
I would also add that some of the clubs and internships that you can participate in, you can be mentored and you can also mentor others. And there's that important aspect of peer-to-peer mentoring that I think is really transformational for students, and that you know, as you're navigating some of these programs and components of different applications and things like that, that you're also helping someone else. And so you know, when Brian and our other PI for our MARC program initially put together this proposal for our grant for MARC U-Star, a big motto of MARC U-Star is lift as you climb. And that's at the University of Rhode Island. And it's this aspect of our incoming trainees are, you know, looking for mentorship and guidance, but then they're also playing this really important role in letting other students know about these types of opportunities. MARC U-Star only funds 4 new students per year. So we have a small cohort of 8 trainees at any given time at our particular program. And most MARC and U-Rise programs are very, very small, like 8 to 12 trainees. So our trainees also play an important role of students that aren't in the program, that they're in classes with, that they're in lab with, of letting them know about other opportunities. And it's through some of the clubs and associations and organizations they're involved with. Our MARC trainees are working on establishing a SACNAS undergraduate chapter at our university, but they're also supporting each other in other clubs around different, you know, different degrees and interests. We have a Seeds of Success program within our College of the Environment and Life Sciences, and they're mentoring others and, you know, pulling other students in to apply for these types of programs. And so there's an important part for you all, I think, to know that you can be mentored, but you can also mentor and support others as you find these incredible opportunities as well.
Thank you, Megan. Our panel is coming close to an end. So I ask our audience, if you have any questions and you have access to these amazing professionals, please submit your questions right now. And from our panelists, last words of wisdom, last words of advice to the students. The floor is open to you.
I think one, I guess, advice would be before you transfer, really try to find a community at the university that you're transferring into. Like that would help the transition a lot easier. A lot of universities would have, for example, at UCSC, they have something called Summer Bridge, where you can move in a week early or a couple of weeks early, and you get to have like week-long projects or kind of get you jumpstart with some of the science classes. Then you can start with a group of community college students who are also in the same spot as you. So even before you start college, you already have this community of peers that you can count on, because it would be challenging. Some students might find it challenging to find a community because everybody kind of have their friends already when you start upper division science classes. So that's would be my advice, is to find a community before you start.
Yeah, I will add that I would say, like, if you know other like students who already transferred, is reach out to them, ask them like, what have they liked, right? What have been some of the challenges that they faced in kind of like the first year that they transferred, right? If you maybe don't have those connections or are familiar with other students, is talk to, like, if you're part of a MESA program, like talk to the MESA director, ask them if they can connect you with students who recently transferred. Or again, if you're not part of the MESA program, like connect with some of the professors that you've had, ask them if they know like students who recently transferred that they can connect you with. And I think just asking them directly, right, like connecting with those other students who transferred from your college, and just ask them what their experience has been like. What have they liked? What have been some of their challenges? What have been some of those communities, like Xingxi mentioned, that they have been able to get connected with?
And sorry, just to add that I think some universities have like housing plans where they house all the transfer students in the same hall, for example. So that will be a good chance to also connect with other community college students.
And I think my biggest takeaway would just be, you know, kind to yourself, whether it's your first semester of college, or you've maybe changed majors or directions a couple times, you've been at this a little while. You know, you're not expected to come into, you know, transfer into a university or college and just hit the ground running with networking and finding these programs. It does take some time to navigate. And, you know, not every university or program is going to be MARC or URISE or certain funded programs, as we've mentioned, but there is going to be something there for you. And so, you know, don't get discouraged along the way. There are other national programs out there. The Leadership Alliance is something I'll put the link in the chat for. That is another funded program. So there might not be something right there for you, but to push yourself out that comfort zone when you can, but to be kind with yourself with that transition and with, you know, navigating some of these new processes, especially 2.5 years into this pandemic. A lot of things have changed and evolved around undergraduate research and education. And, you know, it's okay to figure it out as you go. Many of us have done the same. And to just take care of yourself and your well-being through that time as well is really important.
And, you know, I will close by referring to the speaker who spoke before us. You know, I had the privilege of coming on a little bit early, so I was listening to the person who preceded us, and I was really touched by her story and the path that she took, and it is a reminder that as much as this panel is about research and finding opportunities, never forget what your sense of why is. And, you know, one of the many things I do as a faculty member is advise students. And, you know, very often, sometimes students assume the relationship is built around, you know, can you point me to a good internship? Can you teach me a class? Can you help me with my resume? And I always want to take 10 steps back and ask, well, what's your why? What's driving you? What's the thing that when you imagine yourself 10, 15 years from now will bring you happiness and joy in this world? And sometimes the answer to that is being a researcher at Merck. But sometimes the answer to that is I want to be safe and happy with my family, and I need a career that supports that, right? And so be okay with yourself if 2, 3, 4 years from now, your sense of why changes. I give my students this assignment. I just put it in the chat. As the first assignment they do for me in intro bio. And it's NPR, so it's out there for the, you know, they have recordings, and it's actually a beautiful program. And I do encourage you, if you've never seen this or looked it up, look at that prompt and respond to it for yourself. And it is not to say, it is not me suggesting that you shouldn't like or continue to go after research, but given how intense this pathway is, I would like you to go after it with a sense of meaning and purpose and why. Not just because it's cool and it exists, but because it helps you achieve the person that you're trying to become. And that's a bigger question, right? So thank you for having me, and I hope some of what we've said is very helpful to you.
Thank you for that perspective, and thank you all panelists for stepping away for a moment from your busy schedules and joining us today and talking to SACNAS community college students. I hope our students, you learn about new opportunities, and it helps you to think about your next steps, and you have maybe some ideas that can result in some tangible outcomes in near future. So again, thank you panelists so much. Our next event is a networking event. It's very short. My colleague Emily, she posted a link in the chat. It will be a different Zoom link. We will meet in a meeting format because I would really like us all to meet in person and get to know each other. And yes, you can reach out to our panelists. They're all dropping their emails, LinkedIn profiles. Thank you all so much. Bye. See you in a few minutes. Jump to the next link. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.